this is part 2 of our face-off episode.
Yep, remember I can eat a peach for hours, so of course we had to do 2 parts.
Yeah, I once watched him eat one very small peach for a whole hour. It was just weird and messy by the end. If you've not watched or listened to part 1, go back and watch or listen to that, and then let's just jump back in. I didn't realise this, but the only image that I've seen of any posters or DVD cases or VHS cases, which I've got, is the 2 halves of the face. Now in my mind, if everyone, I say describe what it looks like, it's 2 halves of the face. But you know what's really important? The bead of black shadow between the 2 faces. Because there's a version of it out there when they've literally lined the faces up together and it looks weird.
Yeah,
they've got very, very different faces. Cage has got like a quite circular eye, whereas John Travolta's almost got like an elliptical eye. And when you stand back and look at it for a second, it doesn't look like 2 people spliced together. It looks like a person pulling a weird face, and it's not. If I can, I'll throw pictures up, or or have a Google of them.
Yeah.
So I think the version that I'd only ever seen before doing my research is the much stronger image.
Yeah. I have a vague memory of being in a video shop when I was young, and it might be that I'm misremembering a version of what you've just mentioned. I remember a poster for it where it was almost, the faces were basically touching, but it was almost pixelated. It was almost, I don't know if it was one of the, do you know sometimes when there's a poster where it's lots of small frames of a film or lots of small photographs and the colours washed out, and then you step back and it makes the picture. In my mind, it was shots of the film washed out to the point where it's their heads, but the heads were also pixelated into each other. But I might just be misremembering.
There is a version of the poster while I was doing my research, and it is the main image is the 2 halves of the faces, Cage and Travolta. But then if you look deeper into those images, there's also the opposite actor merged into it on a smaller level. So it could have possibly been that, and it was more of it's not a drawing or a sketch of them, but it's overexposed photographs, so it just pulls out their main defining features. So maybe it was that. A couple of interesting facts here. I think this one's really cool, but it definitely goes down the semi-pretentious line.
Okay.
I thought it was cool when I first read it. You tell me if it's too pretentious. So, can you remember how Sean Archer's wife, she thinks that they've swapped, but how she confirms that they've swapped?
The blood type.
So Sean Archer's blood type is O negative.
Mm-hmm.
Castor Troy's is AB positive.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're significant because O negative can go into anyone, whereas AB positive has to be that blood. The idea being that Sean Archer's personality type is he wants to help everyone, and that Castor Troy's blood type is very selfish and it can only be him.
Nice.
So,
I like that.
You know what? Now I've said it. It's not even on the line, is it? It's definitely super pretentious. Or is it not pretentious because it doesn't come out in the movie?
Yeah, that's one of those that you could argue that they've just got different blood types, so they're not compatible. But it's like, yeah, but were those? I know is there 3 or 4 blood types? I probably should know that as a human being, but
well, she obviously just knows what her husband's blood type is, and that's not it, and that's how she gets it confirmed.
But what I mean is did the writer or whoever intend for that interpretation, or is that just that's nice, that lines up? Because what I thought you were going to say was that the type that anyone can have, Castor Troy would have that because anything goes. He's wild. He's Nicolas Cage. Come on, but Sean Archer's is the one that only he can have because he's the hero and he won't change. He won't sacrifice his. Do you know what I mean? So you could take it. You could swap them, and then whatever the third blood type is, that's the other character. Like,
yeah, someone's gone to the right going, I like the blood thing that you did in Face Off because the O positive, blah, 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 yeah, and he went.
Yeah, totally meant that.
That is what I meant. That's the one. Glad you picked up on it.
There is. I've heard writers that I follow and that I enjoy, and like directors and actors have mentioned it as well. Some of them will take credit for certain interpretations of things like that, and they'll go, "Yeah, totally meant it." And then some will go, "No, I just wrote a thing that works structurally," and the audience goes, "Oh, so the rain on that scene means that was his mood," and they go, "No, it's just a moody scene." But that's probably a bad version because that is a known the weather representing the mood, but it's a character makes a choice, and that shows that clearly when he was young, his dad, and you're like, great, if that works for you as an audience member, yeah, but I wrote it as he's a bad character, and if he has this past, that just happens to be that these characters may have these pasts in general.
Does Bruce Willis's vest become super dirty like halfway through Die Hard because he's had to abandon all of what he is as a good cop, and now he's taking on the dirt of it? It's like, nah, he's just been rolling around in an air vent that's dirty. I mean, yeah.
Oh, do you know what I'd love to... We're totally rabbit hole in here, so great. Good. I'd love to see Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage do a face-off sequel. Or a three-way swap.
This is going to sound like we speak about doing the episode before we do the episode, but want to hear some alternate versions of casting?
Yeah, let's do it, yeah.
Right, so straight away, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. That's who originally it was meant to be as. Oh, very, very different film, and I think you could even push it to the point where...
They're too similar as an archetypal character as well, aren't they? Whereas Travolta and Cage physically are very different. I think they mention height difference, negligible. But apart from that, they are very physically different. I think Stallone and Arnie
they boost one of the actors up an inch in the breakdown, the medical breakdown. They boost and they drop one of the characters by an inch, so it kind of a little bit more lines up.
Yeah,
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. I think it could work. I think it'd have to be a different film. I think it'd have to go more ball. Yeah, it'd have to go more balls to the wall action, through and through.
Yeah.
Maybe especially at the time, because I think Sylvester Stallone is probably quite underrated as a dramatic. He can pull out a dramatic performance in things. I mean, look at Copland.
And inside of that VHS cover.
Oh God, shit, yeah. Oh, you just made me. I've got to take another picture now and throw that up there. Thanks, Lewis. Some others. Who else have we got? This next couple, because they're in pairs, which is quite nice, is almost the complete opposite of going more action. You could almost go more serious. So you've got Harrison Ford and Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas is one of the producers of the film, or executive producers, so he obviously had a hand in the production. Right.
Which one would you have them being? I think it's almost more obvious to have Douglas's Castor Troy.
Yeah, he has to be the
and
villain.
Of Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Because I think Harrison Ford is all... I can't think of an evil or bad character he's played. The only one I can think, what's the one where he loses his memory and he starts out as a dickhead and then he ends the film as a nice guy? He's like a lawyer or an insurance...
Oh God, I don't know.
He gets like a brain injury, and I think at the start of the film he's selfish and he's a bit of a douche. And then he's not exactly evil, I don't think, but by the end of the film, he almost
I was going to say, you've got a very low bar for evil. If you think
he's a bit selfish, so kill him.
You're going to find out what that film's called after we've finished recording. Message it me, and then we'll pop it up.
Oh yeah, that works for me.
That's it. There we go. That's
yeah, there's a film. I almost do you know what? Let the audience, if you're that bothered, Google it. You'll find it. I think he got nominated for an Oscar for it or something. It's gotta be good. But anyway, Harrison Ford, I can imagine being the hero and then having to play the villain being the hero. But then I suppose maybe it wouldn't work like you say. It would almost be too dramatic with those. It'd be too subtle. I think part of the enjoyment and what actually makes it good, seeing Nicolas Cage do an impression of himself, pretend to be someone else doing an impression of him, that's why it works, because it's so over the top.
I think the pitching of Nicolas Cage and John Travolta it's the perfect balance of, you can believe that someone's swapping a face because of who they are as actors in the type of movie it is. I mean, those magnetic boots that they wear in the prison?
yeah.
They're recycled from the Goomba boots that's in the Mario film.
I thought they looked familiar.
Yeah. Can you imagine someone going, oh, that Harrison Ford and Michael Douglas film that's coming out? Yeah. They're wearing Goomba boots from Super Mario.
Yeah.
Really? And I don't think that would work. And this isn't me saying, that it'd be shit if they were in it. I just mean that films take on different tones and pitches depending on who are in them.
Yeah.
The next one, I mean, we thought that it was going to be serious with Harrison Ford and Michael Douglas. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Yeah. Now, I can't imagine that ever got anywhere near, but it's an obvious choice in it. I mean, think of Heat.
I was about to say, for me, this is the comedy version of Heat. This film is the comedic version of Heat. Where you get Pacino and De Niro sat down at the dinner table or in the cafe and they're facing off and it's a war of words and it's like, wow.
That's the war of words that I was kind of imagining for the Point Break episode that we were talking about. When they were sat round. They never had it.
Oh, see, I love the thought of at least a comedy sketch of De Niro and Pacino doing scenes from Face Off. of doing the... I think it'd work.
Or Travolta and Cage as their characters from Face Off doing the script from Heat.
No, that would be good. I can really see Pacino doing the impression of himself. I can see Pacino slotting right into the Cage role and it working. Yeah. And look at some of the work De Niro's done. He can definitely do comedy.
I think it'd be a very different film.
Yeah.
And I think it would actually... I think all of these would be... I almost look at all the ones that we've said so far. In an alternate reality, that was the version of that film, and it was still fucking great.
Yeah.
But for very different reasons. So another one, Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin.
Do you know what? I can see it. I can definitely see... See, Alec Baldwin is a really genuinely funny comedian and comedic actor. But in big action films, he tends to play it straight and be funny and be
He's quite underrated.
And Bruce Willis has a reputation, especially now, of being a bit of a grump and not enjoying films and all that. But he is also genuinely funny, and as long as he believes in a script, he tends to still put a performance in. And I think can be a little bit meta and a little bit sort of self-mocking.
Yeah.
Like Fifth Element, one of my favourites. There's bits of that where he is...
It's definitely a pod favourite, that film, isn't it?
He is playing Bruce Willis in that film in certain moments, and he's almost winking at the camera, being like, this works. This is kind of part of why I love it. So I genuinely really enjoy, and think that would be a very good... There's definitely parallels there of the two. Yeah.
The only other alternate actor I've got is Mark Wahlberg turned down the role of Pollux Troy. So his younger brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the guy who plays him was great.
Yeah.
When he looks down in the cage and he goes, "See you later, little bro."
When he has the little finger. He uses a little finger to wave, doesn't he?
He's like, bro. He's like, and when he gets...
And he knows that bro, he hates being called bro. Bro's not the word. That's almost when he first starts to suspect, like... You're not really Castor, because he calls him bro. And again, it's set up at the start of the film. He ties his lace. He says, "Don't call me bro." Oh, it's a great film.
But when he goes through that Velux window, whatever he goes through that, and he lands on the floor, I was fucking well happy. That snivelling little shit.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, Travolta playing Nicolas Cage, pretending to be him, you believe that he's upset in that moment, despite how crazy it is.
He ties his shoelace again, doesn't he, at the end? Yeah. And then that young FBI agent comes round and says, "What are you upset about? It's only Pollux Troy." And then out of pure hatred and vengeance, he just... A great shot, bang, straight in the, straight between the eyes, drops him.
The one time in the film, it's like, first shot hits its target.
Yeah, you've hit nothing else up to this point. No, you killed a kid at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now you've killed a young FBI agent. But I had a memory of this film that Castor Troy actually has some redeeming qualities. I remember, incorrectly, a bleed out between Sean Archer doing things or indulging in his darker side and Castor Troy being able to be the nicer guy. And it really reminded me, watching it the other day, of the Spider-Man run with Doc Ock in Spider-Man's body. How he says, "I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the best Spider-Man." Because you think he's going to ruin his life, but obviously the idea of the story and the Marvel story is that he wants to be the best version of Peter Parker, the best version of Spider-Man.
He basically says, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to prove the way I'm going to beat Spider-Man or really hurt Parker is, I'll be a way better Peter Parker and a way better Spider-Man than he ever could be.
I'll be a superior Spider-Man.
Oh, it's got...
Yeah.
No way!
Whoa! But then there is elements of that, because Castor Troy, as Sean Archer, defuses the bomb that he planted.
Yeah.
And he talks to the president, and the president says, you can write your own ticket now. And, he is almost like, I think he says to Pollux on the phone, doesn't he? Like, how valuable am I now being the best Archer that I can be?
He says it to Axwell, doesn't he? He basically says, I'm gonna milk this for everything. I'm gonna be a way better version. And that's one of the themes of the film is the different sides to his personality, where people think he's a bit of a grump, and he's not the best husband, he's not the best father at times, he's a little bit absent, and then he starts to be, you could argue, a better husband, at least a more attentive, involved husband, a more involved father. But underneath it's that message of be careful what you wish for, because his wife and his daughter would like a more involved and a more present father figure, a husband figure, but not at the expense that he's a super terrorist. Whole slapping his hip like a cowboy constantly and going ooh wee every 2 seconds. It's like wow.
It's so that for me that is one of there's two moments from an acting point of view which I'm just like nailed it, and that ooh wee you good looking from John Travolta, and the other one is Nicolas Cage, where he is having the fight and he's laughing and joking, and he turns almost looking up, and he breaks into the Sean Archer character who he actually is, and he almost cries a little bit
in the prison when he's first and then he starts to shout, "I'm Castor Troy," and it's like he's convincing himself, he's telling the audience, I'm struggling,
but
he's telling
himself, he breaks from the laughing and the whole enormity of the situation is very present on his face, and this is when Nicolas Cage's acting style actually really, really pays off, or pays dividends massively in this film, that he does an over-the-top, sad, almost meme face, very, he's very droopy, his mouth, sad, over the top, his eyes almost change shape, I suppose, but it's very pantomime in his reaction, but it worked so well in it.
Yeah.
And those are my two most standout moments, I think, or at least the moments where I went... smashed it. That is.
Do you know what it is with Nicolas Cage? And he might have spoke about this. I'm sure I've watched an interview where he talked about theatre. There's times when, and this isn't an insult to like theatre actors, but like the idea that on stage you need to over emote and be over the top sometimes, because you're, the people at the back, they've not got you at zoomed in HD like you do with on cinema. Yeah. And there's times when
theatre acting and film acting are only the same in the word acting. It's a completely different skill.
And there's times when it feels like Cage is emulating the great theatre actors, and sometimes not the great theatre actors, but he's emulating that style of, I've got to throw this out there, despite how big the cinema screen is, the person at the back might not see, like you say, that I've got sad eyes, that I've got angry eyes. And, again, that doesn't work for some people or for some films, but again, in those moments, in a crazy bonkers film with camera angles flying around constantly, not a single steady shot, characters throwing each other off magnetic, Mario Bros boots and stuff. You're like, I need to really see this character express their emotion, because otherwise it's all just visual noise. Yeah. I need to identify, like, this is a man who's really struggling. It really is such a fun film.
I was worried, because I loved it as a kid, not only because it's a great film, but I've got very vivid memories of watching it with my dad. And I was worried that I was going to watch it back as an adult and be like, oh my God, this is just absolute crap. It's a different film than I remember, but obviously I'm looking at it with adult eyes, but I still think it's still a solid movie.
Yeah, it is crap in all the best ways, and it doesn't try to be, groundbreaking necessarily, or but then I'd argue in some ways that, it's the action film version of that. Like I say, the choices, the stylistic choices, there's so many little references, there's so many. It feels like what lots of bad action movies and B movies, and especially the VHS era, when there were so many cheap knockoffs of big action franchises. Films like this are why, because it makes so many choices, and it's so bold and over the top that you start to think, I could do this. And have you ever watched a really bad action film or a really low budget one? And as you're watching it, you think, I can see what the director saw in their mind when they were filming something. And Face Off is what they saw. And then what you're watching is something totally different. You know, it's got that quality of every bad action director sees Face Off in their mind of these big action scenes, and then.
But I mean, it's something you've said before. Like, it knows what it is, and that's not a criticism. It knows what it is, and it's a brilliant version of that. I do like, same as you. I do like pretentious films, but I also like silly films.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the new Jackass movie coming out. Really looking forward to it. I love that, but it's not like someone sits down and go, got a couple of films that you want to watch tonight that you need to choose between. Okay, Seven or Jackass. It's like, whoa, these are.
I mean, it's both body torture, but.
But do you know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to do the same job.
Yeah.
They're very different.
Horses for courses.
Definitely. There's been talks of a sequel quite recently.
Right. Okay.
But it's one of those situations where, unless the original writer, both the lead actors are on board for it, it's like, no, we're doing a sequel to that story in that universe, and it's a continuation of that. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing it at all. I
sometimes get annoyed at the amount of remakes and reboots and stuff, but then at the same time, when you look back, some of the great films, you know, like we talk about The Thing, for example. That's a remake. It's a total overhaul, and we've said before, if you're going to remake something, if it's not going to be a shot-for-shot homage, then just go totally, go really out the way with it. Face Off is a film that I think you can remake, and it doesn't harm the original, because we mentioned some of those alternate casting ideas that are out there. You could make a more serious version. You can make a full comedy version. You could.
I would love to see them. I would love them to do a trailer with all those actors do a shot-for-shot remake of the original trailer with those actors in. That'd be brilliant.
I can see. That there was talk about the 23 Jump Street, which is going to be a Men in Black kind of crossover. This kind of action film, I can see a Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Cornetto, Blood and Cornetto trilogy version, or a 23 Jump Street crossover into the universe. It has that element of. So many action films and so many good films emulate it, and so many filmmakers and writers, etc., out there, even if they don't make action films, they'll talk about how films like this inspired them. When they, at least when they were young, they just enjoyed the craziness of it. I'd quite like to see even if it is a comedy version, of Face Off, because it is. I'm surprised there's not more, because it's actually a really interesting sci-fi concept when you think about the idea of just totally. It's not just like identity fraud. It's like, I'm literally, as Nicolas Cage says, take his face off. I love that scene with him and his friend. They literally 4 or 5 times row. They keep just saying face.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like as a group of people who went, that's it. That's the bit. That's the thing that people are going to remember. Let's just all do it so no one can leave the auditorium without. Wanting to do this.
Oh, it's so good. One thing I'd love to mention as well, by the way, and in that very meta, almost saying the name of the film in the film, I love that towards the end, at the finale, the part where, there's 2 things actually I'll mention. When Castor Troy is trying to convince his wife of what's happening, and again, a great performance, and almost comedic, but it works, of Nicolas Cage breaking down, playing, Sean Archer, basically saying to his wife, I know I'm Castor Troy, but it's actually me. And he starts to basically explain to her the plot of the film. And as he's saying it, he's like crying and laughing and going, you're not going to believe... Right, let me explain. Yeah. So, and it just happens that everyone who knows is actually dead. And it's this secret procedure that no one knows about. Oh, and my team, no one knows. And then at the end, his wife is calling her contact there, for one of the other agents in the FBI who she's friends with, to basically say, I need to tell you something. Now, you're not going to believe this. And there's this great self-awareness that the film has that makes you buy into it all the more. Of going, definitely. The characters in this universe. This is almost like, I know crazy things keep happening to our FBI team in this universe, but here's another one. Hear me out.
Just one more thing.
Yeah. Oh, what a great. Yeah.
I've only got one last piece of trivia really to add. So in 2012, Richard Norris was the first person to have a face transplant.
All right, okay.
he accidentally shot himself in the face the same year this movie came out.
No way.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope that wasn't like a really bad publicity stunt gone wrong. That they tried to brush under the carpet. They're like, oh, that wasn't the way to do it. I think I've got an image in my head of us at some point. We need to do like and if people out there want to try this, by all means, I'd love to see it like a Halloween costume of Face Off, but like maybe like with Travolta's face on an outfit of Nicolas Cage, or like other characters of their films, like the John Travolta version of, Nicolas Cage in whatever, or Nicolas Cage as Travolta's character from Grease. Do you know, like
that would be a great like themed birthday party where everyone's got to come as a John Travolta character with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Or as Nicolas Cage or vice versa. That would be very...
The Nicolas Cage version of Travolta's hits and the Travolta version of Cage's hits.
That'd be cool.
I'll mention one thing as well. How cool and really creepy is, again, really great direction and editing choices where we never actually see the exposed face of anybody for more than just a quick frame, a quick second, a quick flash. Nicolas Cage gets up and he doesn't have his face is off, and he's on the phone, he's got a cigarette and he's shouting, he's ranting and raving, and he gets up and walks around and you're just about to see the exposed face, you don't. Then you see it in the reflection of the Doctor's glasses. Yeah. One, you're thinking, it's the Joker. It's almost the Batman 89 scene of the Joker seeing himself and laughing hysterically, going crazy. And it made me think, there's a universe out there where Nicolas Cage plays the Joker and he's damn good at it. With that.
Oh,
and it's
God,
a really,
yeah.
it's not even like the Joker, like, he's got the little smile and his face has gone white from chemicals. It's like, no, this Joker's face has been melted. He makes Two-Face look normal. Like, he's got, because it looks like he has the smile. The way the exposed muscle, which when you think about it, well, yeah, because you look at a skull.
Got a void.
Yeah, you look at a skull, and obviously the reason you see a skull without the bottom thing, the jaw's totally separate. It's all tendons and muscles. So it's like, in the lens reflection, it looks like a giant Joker smile, the way the muscles are connected. And it was like, there's something here. Someone can do can cut together a nice edited version.
You could probably edit a Batman movie in at that point of the film and go, Castor Troy is the original Joker character. Yeah,
it's an emotional roller coaster. It needs to be watched. If you're into action films or B movies, or have even a passing liking for Travolta or Nicolas Cage, this is the film to watch, because you get both of them. Not necessarily doing anything hugely different than we've seen before, and that's kind of what makes it so good, the fact that, as we mentioned...
But they're doing the best version of it.
Yeah, they're playing themselves, they're mocking themselves, they're playing each other, they're mocking each other, and it's just really fun. Even the darker, more serious stuff, when you think about the fact that, Sean Archer's wife mentions basically, look, I've been living with him as man and wife for a while now. Like, you think about the implications of that, that's pretty grim. But her as a character's like quite strong about it and like, let's just get him. You're going to make it up to me. And there's no... This kind of film, you can imagine looking back and things not holding up. And in 2021 goggles and wokeness or whatever you want to call it, just being more aware, there's films like this that you look back and you watch and you go and you cringe and you go, oh yeah, this doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth. Every character has some strength, has some identity. Definitely. Has something they're doing, they have a purpose and an agenda, and it works, and everything is set up and paid off beautifully, which a lot of action films now could learn a thing or two, I think, from something as bad as Face Off. Anything else to add, Charlie?
Yeah, guys, remember, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Please follow us on Instagram via @DRHpod. Follow, like, subscribe on all the socials, the YouTubes, leave comments, hit like, everything. Bye.
Bye.
No more drugs for that man.